Simone, it's great to have you on the show.
It's great to be here, Danny.
So I wanted to start off by hearing, like, how did you get started in what you did? Was this did you always want to be an entrepreneur? What was, what were your dreams and aspirations when you were a child?
I wanted to be an Egyptologist.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How far did you get with that?
I've never been to Egypt so far.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. That didn't work out that well. But I
Mm,
remember when I was a kid, my parents gave me this book on Egypt, and I fell in love. I was fascinated about Egyptian history. I taught myself how to write in hieroglyphics, and I used to make like clay tablets with hieroglyphics when I was like 7, 8 years old. And then things changed. But that was the very first when I grow up, I want to be an Egyptologist.
so how did you, tell me about the kind of direction your career took. When you, as you went through school and towards university, where did things go?
Yeah, my parents split up when I was 14. So my dad used to drink a bit too much, so my parents decided to divorce. And at 14, I basically wanted to have my own money because there was not so much money in the house.
Mm,
So I started working, having summer jobs as a waiter. Now,
mm,
funny thing is that I was one of the few people in the world, probably, there are not many of us, that actually loved the restaurant work. I loved working as a waiter. And to the point that at 15, I went to my mom and said, I want to quit school. I'm going to do this full time. I finally love it. I hate school. I hate studying. I want to work and I want to open my own restaurant one day. So that was at 15. My mom, of course, didn't get me to stop school. So I basically, from the age of 16, worked every evening and every weekend to learn my skills and to become better.
mm.
And then at the age of 19, I managed my first Michelin star restaurant in Italy. And that's why at
Wow.
20, I moved to London because I received an offer to work in a Michelin star restaurant in Notting Hill in London, which is an Italian restaurant. And that's how my British life here in the UK started. But that was the reason why. And I still love working in restaurants. And if I have to serve a coffee to someone, I do it with joy. It's a
Oh,
big part.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So how did what was your journey towards becoming an entrepreneur? Did you know you wanted to work for yourself or?
Yes, the idea of having my own restaurant, like even when I was working in restaurants, I used to contract for multiple agencies. So
Mhm.
I always loved variety. I worked full-time employed only maybe for 2 restaurants. So I never had like a proper full-time job in my life. It was always through agencies. It was always contract work.
Mm.
And then it was at the restaurant when I was in London that the owner, incredible person, Pietro Fraccari, one of the most influential figures in my life, said, I think you can do much more here. So he started telling me to go to seminars. He started giving me books to read, personal development. And I was 22 at the time. So I got
Mm.
exposed to that type of world very young. And
Mm.
that's where at 23, I took a qualification in youth coaching. And then I
Mm.
started my first business going into schools and speaking in schools and delivering courses on motivation and inspiration and getting kids to learn better as well, which fun enough, I hated school, but I went back as an educator because I
Mm.
could connect so well with those kids. And that was my first business. I built it to as a contractor to about 150 schools in 2 years. And then in the meanwhile, I started my event business at 24, where we were running personal development events with my business partner in London, and we were running one event a week. And that's how then the event business became so big that we decided then I had to let go of the work in schools just to
Mm.
focus on that one.
Wow. How did the event business grow?
At the beginning, because we were like 24, my English wasn't that great, so
Mm.
there wasn't much of a speaking career for me. But it was inviting other speakers. We were going to every single free event in London that you could possibly imagine at that time, between
Mm.
23 to 25 to 26. I was there to every single event, me and my business partner.
Mm.
And we were connecting with other speakers. We were inviting them. And at the beginning, we had, 5, 6 people, 10 people showing up. And then we had 50 people. Then we had 100 people. And then we started running such a high volume of events. We did about 1,000 events in a stretch of 5 years in the business.
Wow, that's a lot.
So because of the volume that we were running 2 to 3 events a week at some point with 50 to 100 people, and our name got out there fast.
Mm,
Then what put us really on the map was an event that we did with Les Brown, talking
mm,
about partnership, which we're going to mention later. There is a lot of partnership involved there. We did an event with the Les Brown with 1,000 people, which then the year after led to an event with Gary Vee in a boxing hall. We were part of the organizing team, and that really put us on the map, and that's where the business started booming.
And so, did the speakers, all the different speakers you invited, was the business model that the speakers had to promote it?
Yeah, we will always ask the speakers to promote it to their network, but
Yeah.
we were sending a lot of invitation. We were going to so many other free events
Mm,
that we were then inviting people. We were having a sponsor tables to collect email addresses, inviting people to our events,
mm.
and that was our business model for a good 5 years. Now GTeX is 11 years old this year, but for the first 5 years, that was the business model. They were promoting. And there were some speakers that brought like serious crowds. And
Mm.
as you know, the majority didn't bring much, maybe like the odd 2, 3 people. So it was mainly on us. But there were maybe like 4 or 5 speakers that I remember that they made our business.
Right,
Because
and
then
it's
on the
always
back
like
of
that.
it, yeah, on the back of it, then we were inviting people to join our mastermind, which was like 120 pounds for the year. That was our very first product, and that's how we got things started.
Wow, wow. It's always like that with speakers. You have, if you invite 100 speakers, most of them will bring in 4 people, 5 people, 3 people, but then you'll get a dozen who'll bring in thousands between them.
Uh-huh. Exactly. That's exactly what
And
happened.
you're right, it's always the few. It's the few that you find who really put you on the map.
Absolutely.
So and where did so you got to this point where you had a couple of really big events. Where did the business go from there?
The business then when that we were then started running our own seminar. So we
Hmm.
started using in the speaking industry is pretty standard
Mm.
free evening events to promote a 3 day seminar to then sell into an high-ticket offer. So
Mm.
after this was about 6 years into the business that we
Mm.
went into that model, and that's where really we went from like the six-figure to the 500,000 and above. And then that's when COVID hit. That's after, so we kept using that business model until 2020.
So these
And
were
then
in person. These were all in
these
person
were all in
events.
person. These were all in
Yeah.
person. I used to do some webinars before, but
Mm.
the webinars were designed to get people to the live event. So
Yeah.
it was really like online community building to get people to the
Mm.
free event or to the 3 days event. It wasn't having an online business for the sake of having an online business.
Yeah.
But during the time we developed online programs, we had a membership area. So when COVID hit, we literally had to close the tap on one side and open it on the other side. It wasn't that dramatic,
Mm.
even if we were an event business. So that the fact that we were just putting these things in place saved our ass, I gotta say.
Yeah. So tell me a bit about how you how did you adapt to COVID?
It was the first year. It was a lot of hard work. It was just putting my head down and work because imagine this. We had now a team of 14 people that
Mm.
were working at the event business.
Mm.
Some of them were coaches, some of them were event organizers, some of them were event hosts. Six were full time, all the other contractors. So now we have to change the entire structure of the business, firing
Yeah.
some people, hiring others, plus the emotional situation that there was about like
Mm.
if anyone like firing people that do a great work is one of the most horrible that are really close friends is one of the most horrible things that
Yeah.
could happen. I would not wish to anyone. That took definitely a big toll on me. But then it was working from morning to evening to readapt the business because we had about 140 clients. They were paying a high ticket membership.
Mm.
We're selling it for about 15,000 pounds.
Yeah.
And if they could have said, "This is not what I bought. I
Mm.
didn't buy anything online. I want to leave." They could have said that.
Yeah.
And there was very little that we could have done. We could have
Yeah.
held them to a contract, but at the end of the day, you buy something in person is not happening anymore, we're moving online. So we really put a lot of work on making sure that we kept this core group of customers engaged. We gave them super extra value. We arranged extra sessions with them. We wanted to show them that we were there to stay and
Mm.
we were them to support them above and beyond.
Yeah.
Over these 140 people, we only had 3 cancellations. And so the
Wow.
business stayed afloat and the hard work paid off. I paid it in emotional health
Yeah, I
the
can
year
imagine it. It
after.
must have taken its toll on you. Yeah.
That definitely took a toll on me. Fight the following year was one of the toughest year of my life on a personal level, not business level.
Yeah.
But that was because of the sheer amount of hours that I had to put in, and also because I'm a big extroverted person.
Yeah.
And the entire situation of lockdown, it was really hard for me to deal with.
Yeah. It's not meeting online is not the same as meeting in person.
Meeting online is draining.
Yeah.
Meeting in person for me is energizing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think delivering training on online is also much more draining than delivering. I've stood
It
up.
is.
I've had a situation. I've been in situations where I've delivered training all day in central London. So I have to travel into London. I have to stand up all day and present. But that's still less tiring than being on Zoom all day. No,
100%.
without a doubt.
100%. I can do we used to like 3 full day training. I ended this 3 day training. I was on the top of the world. I was buzzing. I want to go play basketball after. I was ready. Finish. I do 3 hours of presentation online. I'm like, oh, need a
You want to
glass
lie
of
down.
need a glass of wine.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So moving away from COVID, how did you, how did, as the restrictions eased, did you go back to in-person events?
Oh,
How did the business adapt?
one of the personal transformation I had is that before I was looking for my personal for what fulfills me in life,
Mm,
I was looking at into the business. So
mm,
I was expecting my business to give me the joy and fulfillment that I wanted from life.
yeah,
And until we worked in the live event space, that was the case.
mm,
But when we started moving things online, I had to learn to find my joy and fulfillment somewhere else.
yeah,
Otherwise, I would have been miserable. I would have stayed
yeah,
miserable. And so there is always a blessing in disguise, right? So when the world opened up, then I finally had a business that allowed me to travel, and I love to travel. My wife loves to travel, so it was the first time that actually me and my wife decided, and we travel. Like last year we traveled, and 2 years ago we traveled to 15 countries. Last year we
wow,
traveled to 21 countries. So now the business is actually still fully online. But I do a lot of international speaking engagements. So I stopped organizing events in London. I speak mainly international in a lot of events in the digital nomad space, which they come through partnerships, which we can talk about that
yeah,
later. And now use that to travel the world. So recently, I just came back from a month in Brazil.
mm,
The reason why I was in Brazil is because one of my partners, they run a cruise, and which is an event at sea for digital nomads.
yeah,
And I was one of the speakers of that. We left from Tenerife going to Brazil. I was one of the
wow,
speakers there. And because he was living from Tenerife, another connection
yeah,
runs a co-living space in Tenerife. So I delivered another workshop in Tenerife, which came from a workshop that I delivered in Amsterdam. So now my life is really speaking about seeing interesting location, building partnerships with other co-living spaces or entrepreneurial spaces all over the world in the digital nomad space, and then running a lot of webinars online, which is where we specialized in. And this is also what I teach our clients, how to run high converting webinars.
that's fantastic. Do you deliver everything in English, or do you speak multiple languages?
Now everything is in English.
English.
Everything is in English. I only do some things in Italian if I have the right partner, but I've
Yeah,
decided not to split my attention into different languages because it is having two different businesses. It's not just the language, it's the
mm,
cultural difference, it's the programs, it's the packages, the delivery,
mm,
and it became a bit too much. So sometimes I will have a partner that says, "Hey, you're Italian. I will love you to deliver this training to my audience." Like, yeah, okay, I can do that. But
mm.
other than that, I'm only focusing on English speaking market.
And so tell me where is your business now? What's your main focus?
The main focus is now to keep helping more people on creating high converting webinars. There is one thing I've always been really good at because during this period, like I don't know if you've ever been through this situation, or maybe someone who's listening has been through it. When there is a period of restructuring, also you're questioning yourself.
Yeah.
You say, okay, what am I good at? What are my greatest skills?
Yeah.
Where should I focus on next? What can I offer that is of value that I know I can deliver with my eyes closed?
Yeah.
And for me, like it was in the event space, in the webinar space, is about delivering high converting presentations.
Yeah.
Presentations that get people to watch until the end, presentation that get people engaged, and
Yeah.
presentation that get people to buy. Because unfortunately, a lot of presenter, they are business people
Mm.
that turns into presenter. They're not professionally trained presenters.
Yeah.
And I took the speaking work very seriously since I started.
Mhm.
Took a lot of speaking training. For me, speaking is an art. I'm always looking to step up my game.
Yeah.
And actually, the art and science to create a high converting presentation are always fascinated me in the in-person stage, but
Mm.
also in the webinar stage.
Yeah.
And so that's where we focus the attention because it's something that we know we could deliver. And then on top of that, we added then the knowledge of marketing and online funnels, which we learned by running the event business. So it kind of merged it together into the online space and made sense to say, okay, let's focus on teaching people how to create incredible webinars that stand out, give people tons of value, and they convert like crazy.
That's amazing. So I'm really, really interested to hear how where the partnerships come into all of this.
Partnerships are the core of everything for me. They've been the core even without knowing that I was doing partnerships. They were the core since I started the event company.
Yeah, the
If you think
speakers.
about it, if you think about it, we were partnering up with speakers. I didn't know it
Yeah.
was partnerships, but we're partnering up with speakers. We would go to other events with our stand to collect email addresses, and we would allow the other events to come to our events and collect email address of our participants. That was a
Yeah.
partnership swap. Like that's the
Yeah.
the list swap in a live event, right?
Yeah.
Then in when we to film my own events, even the 3 day training that we were running, I was always speaking on other people's stages and
Yeah.
giving them a cut.
Yeah.
Partnerships. Uh, so the entire my entire life has been building partnerships with other, even if I
Mm.
didn't know it was called partnerships. I have 5 businesses, and none of my 5 businesses are on my own. I've got 5 business partners,
Yeah.
and so I think I live and breathe partnerships because I'm a
Mm.
team player. I
Yeah. I
love
think if you're an
creating
extrovert, you
mutual
need
value.
those partnerships a lot more.
I do. I do
Yeah.
100%. And also, I perform best when I'm not on my own,
Yeah.
which means that those partnerships are great because they held me to a higher standard. I
Yeah.
can show up in my best version of myself,
Mm.
and then I can create values for other people, whether it's on a business level because we have a business partnership, or a collaborative level because we have a marketing partnerships.
Yeah. So how tell me a little bit how you're leveraging partnerships now with what you're doing at the moment.
Yeah, I look for a different place where to find partnerships because there are a lot of JV spaces like you are involved in, which there is nothing wrong with that. They're really important.
Yeah.
Where you find groups of people, you spend 2 hours on Zoom and then you go from breakout room to breakout room, and then you meet with a lot of people there.
Yeah.
Uh, I found that is not my preferred way to get partnership. I will do it
Mm. Mm.
because I will always meet people. That's how we met,
Yeah.
right? We met in one or two of these events, which then led to us meeting at in-person events in London, and then
Yeah.
now we are here and we are collaborating, right? But I try to look for partnerships where partnerships is new to them.
Yeah.
For example, there are a lot of networking events or a lot of associations or co-living spaces, um, software companies, where for them partnerships, something like this is the first time they do it.
Yeah.
And so actually it creates a way more flexibility in the way we can interact. It means
Yeah.
they don't have a partner's calendar, which is like 6 months long, but it
Yeah.
becomes more, hey, let's do it. In a couple of months, we are running this.
Yeah.
And also we are now able to create way more value for each other because I'm adding an important piece of the puzzle for them.
Yeah.
Um, I also try to look for partnership. I like to do a lot of exchanges. So, for example, if I want access to a particular community, because
Mm.
I know there is an organization which has X number of members that are my ideal clients,
Yeah.
I will offer them my my highest work for free, and we'll do, okay, we'll create all your webinar funnels, we'll do this X, Y, and Z for you, and this is what we expect in return. A speaking engagement here, we want a live testimonial, 3 introductions, a shout out about our service, so there will be very outlined what we do. And I found that these become actually the best partnerships that I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then the final one is partnerships with clients, where we have a lot of people going through our courses. So we always invite people to promote us. And then if someone has already a community or an audience, then having a partnership with them becomes, again, incredibly profitable because they are introducing their mentor.
Yeah. They're telling their
And
people about you.
yeah, exactly. So it becomes a very easy. We have a lot of clients that come in that way.
Yeah,
So
it's a no-brainer. You know, tell your clients to tell their people about you, but you need to help them to do that, I presume.
of course, you
Yeah, and I think
gotta give them some good results
that's
and
the
a good
mistake
experience.
that's the mistake people make, though. They say, well, tell your clients about us, but you've got to give them a process. You've got to give them a mechanism, something to help them to tell their clients about you. Where if you just ask them to do it, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think like my rule of thumb for partnership is, if I'm, which is a very different from how a lot of people think, is I look for partnerships where people are not doing partnerships,
Yeah,
and that makes it 100 times easier for me.
yeah. Well, so yeah, because they've not done it before, as you said, they don't have a full calendar, and I think also people who haven't done partnerships, their view of a partnership might be slightly different. So
Wow.
people who are seasoned partners, if you can tell me if I'm wrong, it's very often, well, we'll promote your webinar. Can you promote our mastermind? I think with the people you're working with, the reciprocal, they see the partnership in a slightly different way, right? They see it as we really want to promote you because obviously promoting you is helping you, but promoting you is helping us because we need to give something valuable to our members,
Exactly.
right? Which is what you're providing them.
Exactly.
Uh,
So a lot of time with the partnerships that we do, the win for them is just having me there.
yeah.
Like the cash is because I offer them to pay them the 50% affiliate fee, because I will always do that.
Mm,
But for a lot of partnerships, I'm just having me there for
yeah.
them is the biggest win. Which, while, as you know, when you're dealing with someone who does partnerships on a day in and day out,
Yeah.
you're looking, okay, how many clicks are you gonna give me? How many opt-ins? How many signups? And if
Mm,
I get these results, I will do that for you. And with some people, it's worth playing that game.
yeah.
Absolutely. For some people, it's worth playing that game, but it's not that part of the game that give me the most amount of joy to
Mm.
play. I prefer to go into this other direction.
So you work with lots of people who've not done partnerships before, but how do you find those people? Because somebody might say that sounds like a needle in a haystack. You know, how do you find people? How do you find people who are a fit for you?
People are everywhere.
All right.
No, I mean, that's the philosophy, right? There is a
Mm,
process to it, but people are everywhere,
yeah.
and organizations are everywhere.
Yeah.
And so a lot of time it will be introductions from others. So I will always, when I meet a client, or I meet someone that I know could be a potential partner, or someone where I know maybe I know is my ideal client, but it's not a conversation that you're having about working together, but I know
Yeah.
that person fits that profile.
Yeah.
I will ask them, hey, what other organizations do you belong to? What other
Yeah.
networks are you part of?
Yeah.
Can you make an introduction? So, for example, I attended networking events for speakers, and we were just there collaborating, helping each other, making some introductions.
Yeah.
And I asked her, do you belong to other networking events? And she said, yes, I love these companies, amazing. They do X, Y, and Z for businesses. They have some of the biggest businesses in the Midlands, which is an area of the UK. Like, great. Can you make an introduction? Had an introduction with the founder, with the owner. Said, these are our plans. This is what I can offer. Oh, that would be so good to have you in. And that's how we started. So a lot of the partnership connections, they will start in that way.
Mm,
And also one partnership often leads to the next one,
right.
because people that belong to similar, that have similar
Mm,
networks, they are connected with people that have other similar networks. For
yeah.
example, people that run events for digital nomads,
Yeah.
which is a place where I speak a lot now,
Yeah.
they are connected to a lot of other people that are running events for digital nomads.
Yes. Correct.
So I ask
Correct.
them to say, okay, what other event? Who do I need to connect?
Correct. And
Something
it's finding
fits.
those right people in the first place. I think once you've found the right people, you have like a domino effect of connect. If we can have a connection to another connection to another connection, but you've got to
100%.
find the right ones to begin with. And I'm interested to hear that. I mean, for me, that's what's of interest is how do you find, because there are lots of organizations that you might want to work with, but you could find you're just opening doors to a whole range of people who are just not very good at promoting, or you could be opening doors to a whole range of people who just their audiences aren't a fit. So it's
And I'm willing, and the answer is I'm willing to take that risk because
and it is trial and error, isn't it? There is a
it
certain
is part of the process. For example, I did a partnership with someone that on paper looked really great.
mm,
They promoted my webinar. We had 140 registration, about 80 people showed up, so also good show up rate. And we had one sale on
mm,
something which is always very proven, our webinar conversion accelerator.
yeah,
Same presentation, same thing, one sale, which ended up being a refund.
oh
What
dear.
we realized once we did a debrief is that the audience that they had is too new to business to be able to resonate with my message and with my program.
Yeah,
But we wouldn't have tried, we would not realize it without trying it. So
yeah,
the lesson was we only do a partnership here for the people that have completed your program.
mm,
So when people have finished your journey with you get them ready, then we can do only for this smaller segment of clients. We can then do, and yes, the pool is going to be smaller, but the readiness is going to be way higher. Also, there were situations where partners that, because they were new to partnership, they were say they were going to promote, and we gave them the material, the calendar like this. They ended up ghosting us. They didn't promote. They didn't do what they said they were going to do. So we had this kind of situations, but in some situations, there are valid reasons why this happens. And then we can give it another shot, like with another partner, said, hey, sorry, we dropped the ball. We had this many things on. We couldn't manage stuff. We're now ready to restart. And they
yeah,
came back to me. With another partner, it becomes okay. Well, the lesson here is that we are not doing anything anymore together. And
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
I,
I think what happens with each partnership, you document the things that didn't work. Like one of the things I have found with partnerships is we've had people let us down because unknown to us, they have someone else who does their marketing, and that person who does their marketing wasn't told, right? Or even better still, listen to this. I've had people who due to promote who didn't know that their VA was going on vacation, right? They say, "Oh, sorry, we couldn't promote you. Our VA's on vacation. She has access to everything, and because she has access to everything. We can't do anything while she's on vacation." So I think it's so you learn the next time around. You work with somebody, you say, "Are you managing the marketing? Is somebody else managing the marketing? Can you introduce me to them?" And it's just each time you know what to ask, so you're better prepared next time.
100%.
And so I think that makes a difference. And with the people, with those you work with who haven't done partnerships before, are those one-off promotions, or are these people that you can do something that's repeatable?
I start every partnership as a one-off.
Mm,
The first, this is always my introduction. The first partnership is just to figure it out. Are we a
right.
good fit?
Yeah.
The vision is always to, if we are a good fit, to do something long term.
For to
So
repeat.
that's
Yeah.
always on the table. And that's always
Yeah.
part of the initial conversations.
Yeah.
We can find a good fit, but there is no pressure of
Mm,
committing to something that either of us know if actually is going to be a really good fit.
yeah.
And most of the time, even if we do the first partnership, I will invite them to just try it on a smaller segment of their clients.
Yeah.
And I'm the one saying, no, don't send everyone. Like, just make sure that your people are happy,
Yeah.
that your clients are happy, that you are happy about working together before we do something bigger. Because I have the long term in mind, but at the same time, it is also time invested from my side.
Yeah.
It is also expectations that I have. I base my business predictions on these partnerships.
Yeah.
So otherwise, it becomes a lot of gambling without doing this approach. So I always like to try it and starting small.
Mm.
If they want to do something bigger from the beginning, I'm open to it. But
Yeah.
hey, we can just try something small. Just invite the four, like a core group of clients, get their feedback.
Mm.
Let them tell you if they like the product, if they like the service, if they like me as a presenter, and
Mm.
then decide, do you want me and my organization as a presence in your community?
Yeah.
Because that becomes a long-term gain. Is that can we create such a partnership where our offers are now integrated, where I
Yeah.
have a strong presence, a regular presence, I can build relationship, I can build connection, and not just be there, do a webinar, and then go.
Yeah.
That's my philosophy in partnerships.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. It's the first time you do something together. You actually need to say to people, look, because sometimes you meet with people who are very ambitious who want to do lots of things with you, and you say, why don't we do like a little pilot together first and see how that works?
Yeah,
And if your
I
audience isn't fit for your audience, correct. You don't have to share something with your whole audience, because sometimes people are scared to promote something because they say, I don't know if my audience will like this. So you say to them, okay, send it to a segment of your audience, see how they respond. It's
do a
very sensible.
special training for some of your clients, or you're the most engaged one, the one that you know they're
Yeah,
going to give you the most honest feedback because
yeah,
you have the strongest relationship.
yeah,
And I think it requires a lot of confidence also in your abilities and in your offers, though.
yeah,
Because I know that when people see my presentation and when people join my program, the reviews are incredibly high. We have a 96% success rate in our programs, and I've got about 94% of people, of attendees, that watch the live webinar for start to finish from the in the 90-minute presentation.
yeah,
Done it so many times, and I know my numbers, I know what I can deliver. And
yeah,
so knowing that
yeah,
also gives me the confidence of offering this kind of things,
yeah,
because it's not a gamble. It's
yeah,
actually, I want people to show, because history has proven that if they see me, they want more from me. So,
yeah,
uh, and I think this is also for some people that might be more resistant,
mm,
is also a message for everyone to not avoiding putting the work in
yeah,
and becoming so good in your presentation, in your offer, in your delivery, that people say, oh my God, like, we are happy that we are partnering with you because you're taking great care of our clients.
yeah,
We're not getting any complaints. We're not getting any, because they're putting their reputation on the line.
yeah,
That's what a partner is doing. If I'm promoting you, I'm putting my reputation on the line. And
yeah,
so I don't
absolutely.
take this for granted at all.
Yeah, you need to minimize the risk for them. So I have a question for you to our entrepreneurs who are listening. Some of them might be very intrigued about your the process that you follow in terms of reaching out to people who are not partnered before. So what would be your advice to entrepreneurs listening if they wanted to start reaching out to people who could partner with them who've not done it before? What's a good place to start?
I have a belief
Mm,
that has always been in my life, that we already have right now what we need
mm,
to move forward or to get to the
mm,
next stage.
yeah.
And I'm sure that your potential partner is just in your network.
Mm,
Maybe it's a past colleague that you can
yeah.
ask and they're going to introduce you to someone.
Yeah.
Maybe is someone on your social media. So someone that is starting out, what I recommend them to do is now put a post on Facebook, put a post on LinkedIn, social media platform where you are the most active.
Mm,
Say, hey, I offer this. I'm looking for potential partners
yeah.
who will be interested in having just a conversation.
Yeah.
Then there you can say, you can see someone responds or someone not.
Yeah.
You can look at the people that you're the closest with,
Mm,
maybe people that you have done courses with or other programs with.
yeah.
Make a list of people and then say, hey, I'm looking for people that could be potential partners for me,
Mm,
where I can add value to their programs, their services, their audience on this topic. Do you happen to know anyone?
yeah.
And I'm sure that if you met one
Mm,
connection, you're gonna find.
yeah. That's fantastic. I wanted to. That's a really good starting point. I wanted to ask you, to those listening, if they would like to find out more about you, where can they go?
The best place is my website, which is gtex.org.uk. So
Fantastic.
gtex.org.uk, and there is a free training as well
Hmm.
on the methodology that we use, and also on creating high converting webinars that you can find on the website, and also a lot of podcasts resources. We have podcasts, which you've been a guest as well, the Expert to Authority show, more than 400 episodes published. So people can
Wow.
find everything there on the website. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, thank you, Simone. I think your whole approach and vision is fantastic. It's really been a pleasure speaking with you. So thank you for coming on the show. And for those of you listening, this is the Power of Two podcast. And join us on next week's episode.